to Bello's Fashionistas Home Edition. I am your host, Fleriser Bello. It is a pleasure to have you join us on this beautiful afternoon. We trust that you and your loved ones are well and staying safe. Young Latina Talks is a platform that prepares Latina youth into confident public speakers, which positively exposes young Latinas to the world of communications and public speaking. On September 12, 2020, Young Latina Talks brought the platform to the East Coast region of the United States, where they hosted their first Young Latina Talks East Coast. Bello's Fashionistas was glad to participate as media partner. In today's Bello's Fireside Chat, we welcome Young Latina Talks East Coast winner, speaker, advocate, founder, and president of Paso Latinx. Please join me in welcoming Young Latina Talks East Coast winner, Young Latina trailblazer, and Salvadorian, Maria Alfaro. Maria, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you at Bello's Fashionistas TV. How does it feel to be the winner of Young Latina Talks East Coast?
I am just so in awe, and I'm still floating in the air. I can't believe I won, but I did. So for that, I just feel so blessed to have been able to take part in this opportunity. And I also feel honored to have been able to share the stage, so to call that day, it was a virtual event, with the other Latina women, and honored not just to have been able to take part in the event with them, but also the Latina women who provided me and the other ladies with this opportunity. So above everything that I just feel absolutely blessed.
And Maria, you are Salvadoreña. You also are a speaker, an advocate, and the founder and president of Paso Latinx. Tell us more about Paso Latinx, but first more about you and how you've been able to accomplish all these things at a young age.
This all began maybe a year and a half ago when I decided to embark on a mental health advocacy journey online through a blog that I called Paso Latina. And so my intention with the blog was to share my story and my experience, the story de esta Latina. And so I wanted to share the experience with other Latinas and anyone who could resonate with my stories and experiences, having a lived experience with someone who has bipolar disorder, and that's my mom. So that impacted me tremendously growing up, as I wasn't aware of it due to the huge stigma that still exists within the Latinx community around mental health. It's something that just wasn't spoken about growing up. So as I started to get older in high school, I was 16, and I started to educate myself through a scientific research program at my high school. I was able to learn about different mental conditions. And so that allowed me to better understand my mom. And not only did it do that, it also sparked my passion for mental health. So after that, I went off and I studied behavioral sciences. So I have a bachelor's in behavioral sciences. And so after that, like I said, I just became so passionate about it that I felt the need to share my stories in the only way that I knew best at the time. So that was through writing. Because like I said, it wasn't something that we spoke about growing up. So I couldn't express it. And at that point, I hadn't gone to therapy yet. So I couldn't express it verbally. No, I had these thoughts and I knew what I felt, but the way I knew best was through writing. So I did that. I started to share my story online through blog posts. And so that quickly gained traction with my community here in Yonkers. And so I started to have these conversations, not only online, I would start to connect with people in person as well, and Latinas and Latinos alike. So I felt that through these conversations, I was learning that, wow, I think all we're missing is someone to open up this conversation, because so many people are willing to have it. It's just someone has to get the conversation started. So I said, you know, I want to make an impact and I want to scale this conversation around mental health. So I started to have community events, and I had a few community events months after I started my online blog, and people showed up. I just did this very, out of nowhere. I organized it and funded it myself because I just felt so passionately and feel so passionately about mental health. As so people showed up, and so after I think 2 or 3 events, I said, no, I can't do this alone, and second, how can I make a greater impact? And so is what led me to start my non-for-profit, Que Paso Latinx, and where our mission is to educate and empower through healing conversations y through la cultura, so our culture. And so that is how I founded Que Paso Latinx, and that's a little bit about my mental health advocacy journey.
Why Que Paso Latinx?
So I started my blog, Que Paso Latina. So sometimes people say, hey, ¿qué pasa? As like a term of like, what's up? Or ¿qué pasó? Like depending on if you're Central American, South American, or wherever you may be from. So it just depends. So I wanted it to be sort of like a play on words. So ¿qué pasó? So like, what's up? ¿Qué pasó? But also like, ¿qué pasó? So like, what happened? So I'm with the blog and also with Que Paso Latinx, we're sharing our stories on what happened. And with the mission with Que Paso Latinx is to educate and empower through healing conversations. So intergenerational trauma. And this is all about talking about Que Paso, what happened. So that's where the Que Paso came from.
Tell us what it was like to really open a new company, and also how does Que Paso Latinx shares and provide services?
First, it was definitely challenging to start a not-for-profit. We recently incorporated in May, but this was after a lot of trial and error as, my first time doing something like this. And I was, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So they say. And so I decided to actually go not-for-profit back in February. Late January, early February. And so I started to look into how I could get this done the cheapest way possible, because I can't, I'm going into the not-for-profit sector, right? So we're in the business to help people. So with helping people, that requires funds. So I wanted to do the least costly way possible. So I decided to do it myself, even though I could have hired someone. And so I did it myself. I actually, through the whole incorporation process, I went back and forth with New York State because, like I said, I was Googling my way through this, so, trial and error. But finally, I accomplished it. I got it done. We're incorporated. And so the next step is filing for tax exemption and becoming officially a 501c3 not-for-profit. But some of the services that we're building at the moment, we're working on a big one right now, and it'll be our first. We're working on a policing mental health collaboration with my city. And so we hope to really bring the conversation on mental health and bridge the gap between the services here in Yonkers and connect the police department with these services and sort of make it relieve the strain on the police department and bring in the mental health component. According to our commissioner here in Yonkers, a lot of the responses that the law enforcement currently respond to are mental health related calls. Mental health is at the core of all of these issues. So what we plan to do is bridge the current services with the police department, social services, and assist the police department in being able to better respond to these mental health calls.
We will take a quick break, and when we return, Maria Alfaro will discuss what led her to enter Young Latina Talks East Coast and her mission to raise mental health awareness in the Latinx community. Don't go anywhere.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
Welcome back. Maria, please share with us your mission to raise mental health awareness in the Latinx community.
Besides the policing and mental health, that first project that we're initiating at the moment, our goal with Que Paso Latinx and a personal passion of mine is to just open up that conversation. Because the more we speak about it, the more it becomes normal. And a lot of us, we feel that maybe we're alone with what we're going through. But the more we talk about it and the more we say, hey, I went through that too, or I'm feeling that way too, the less we'll feel alone and the more we come together. And I always say, juntos somos más, like together we're more, because it's true. And the more we can relate, especially in regards to our mental health, which it's something that's not visible because, it's in our minds. And so the more we can do that, the more we can open up the conversation, the less the stigma will stand. So that is the main thing that we're doing. And we also, a part of our mission is to do this through the culture. So I personally feel that if we can change the way many of us view mental health within the culture, so like in our dance, in our food, in art, in photography, in all these things, in our music, then we can change this for the generations to come, because the culture is what's catchy. The culture is what brings people together. So if we can make this a part of the culture, it'll ultimately change going forward. So that's what we're doing.
Tell us about your experience and what led you to be part of Young Latina Talks.
I would say it's the mental health advocacy that led me to ultimately find out and figure out, that I wanted to share my story. And that is what Young Latina Talks gave me the opportunity to do. So it was really that. So like I said earlier, I started sharing my story through my online blog. And so, in the age of social media, you see a lot of people really sharing their stories and showing that human element. And I felt the need to, not that I feel pressured by social media, but I did feel the need to like show face, and so people can relate more than just behind the blog, right? So I felt the need to work on my communication. And so Young Latina Talks is what gave me the chance to do that, especially with leading up to Young Latina Talks. We had the opportunity to work with Minu and Angie from Yoshida Academy, and they coached us on how to speak publicly, and not just speaking, because going in or prior to Young Latina Talks, I thought, it's all speaking, public speaking is just speaking. But no, I was able to learn that it's much more, and a lot of it is mental, a lot of it is emotional. So that, for that, Young Latina Talks will always be special to me. And Young Latina Talks has given me tools that I will be able to use, here on out, and always, I will always carry them with me.
How did you discover Young Latina Talks?
The need and the want and like that fire that I had within me and that I have within me to share my story. But signing up, I found the Young Latina Talks flyer through LinkedIn, the age of social media. So LinkedIn is a platform, I rarely use it, but for some reason I was scrolling through LinkedIn. And so I was connected to Minu Yoshida. And so I saw her post a flyer. And so I looked at it and, you know, it spoke to me. And I'm one of those people where I'm all about like the vibe and how it makes me feel and like my gut feeling. And so I saw the flyer and it did speak to me. And I said, wow, like this would be perfect. And this would be the perfect platform to be able to share my story and reach others and hope that it'll, you know, change the lives of others, you know. And I remember the day of the event, and before speaking, I was the first speaker, and I prayed, and my prayer was, God, if, you know, if I can just, you know, like I didn't care about winning. I didn't, you know, like, even though I'm so grateful and like happy that I won, but for me, it was just, you know, humbly like, God, if I can just touch one person, and if my sharing my story and being brave enough to share it, if I can just impact one person's life, then that would just make me so happy, and I feel fulfilled. Like my heart would feel fulfilled.
What was your reaction when you found out that you were selected to be one of the 12 finalists?
I was actually on my way back from the LEAD conference, which takes place at Harvard in Boston. And so me and 3 of my friends, we had drove up to Boston for the day, and we left Yonkers at like 4 a.m. to get there at like 9. And so on the way back, we were leaving Boston maybe at like 11:30, almost midnight. And so my friend is driving, and then I'm looking through my emails, and then I saw a letter. And I saw an email, and it was a letter from the Young Latina Talks staff, and they were notifying me, congratulations, you have been selected as one of the 12 finalists for Young Latina Talks. And I could not believe it. Like I said, I'm still floating in the air from winning, but having found out that I won, it was like, okay, like the feeling that I felt when I saw the flyer and that like instinct that told me to sign up, it was exactly what I felt the moment that I found out I got selected also, because it was like, okay, you know, it's aligning, like this is meant to be. So that was that feeling. Yeah.
What was your reaction from the beginning towards the end of the event? And what was that feeling like?
It started with the interaction with the weekly Zoom calls with Yoshida Coaching Academy. And so I remember that first week, I was a bit nervous because I don't know, you know, I didn't know what to expect. I knew I was going to be on a Zoom call with a public speaking coach. And I didn't know there would be 2 public speaking coaches, because then came Angie, who was amazing. And so then we were on the call with all the ladies at once. And so I didn't know how that experience would be, but that, you know, over the weeks and just leaving that first Zoom call, I said, yes, like this is where I'm meant to be. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like this was all supposed to happen. Because at that moment I knew, like after the first Zoom call and as the weeks progressed, I knew that whether or not I won, that I had already won just being connected to all these phenomenal, you know, intelligent, empowering women. So that alone is, like I said, one of the things that I will treasure forever, being able to speak alongside them, and the experience with Minu and Angie as our coaches. That also was like, let me tell you, I'm a big believer in like alignment and like, you know, my gut instinct. And so what I didn't say earlier, so the flyer that I saw on LinkedIn, which Minu had posted, the reason I was connected to Minu on LinkedIn, which I barely use, like I said, is because I had attended last year at LinkedIn through the Latinista. I had attended the Latinx Summit, which was held on Latina Equal Pay Day. And Minu was a speaker of one of the workshops. And I remember her going up there, Yaya introducing her, and she did like her 30-second pitch introducing herself. And she was just like, she's a powerhouse of a speaker, of a woman. So I remember looking at her and I was just like, I want to be like her. Like, how can I speak like her? And so that's what, so then at LinkedIn, through the workshop, we had to connect with everyone in the room. So I ended up just connecting with her through that workshop, but I never personally met her. So then fast forward to Young Latina Talks almost a year later, I, now saying that I went through this experience with her and, she coached us through this is like, I can't explain it. It's just, like I'm in.
How many weeks of coaching did you have with Yoshida Academy?
So it was six sessions.
How was it?
Amazing. And like I said, I went in there thinking that it was going to be speaking. She was going to coach us on how to talk, how to speak. And no, like I learned that it was a lot of what public speaking entails is mental. It's mental. It's how and emotional, how you're able to control. Like for me, one of the things that I'll say I learned through the experience is, so for me, before, public speaking for me was my hands would shake. I would say like 1,000,000 times. And so
I still do it today, so don't feel bad for you. I think we all do it.
Yeah, like to a certain extent, right? Well, like for me, I felt like it was excessive, like it almost took away from the message I was trying to deliver when I did talk. So at least that's how I felt about it. So Minu helped with that because she gave us tips on how to sort of, control that. And the key with that, so like I told her, like my hands are shaking. Like why do my hands always shake when I go to speak publicly? She's like, you have to control your heartbeat, because my heart would be like pounding. And so she was like, if you can control that, then you can most likely control your hand shaking. And so she taught us about box breathing. And so that in itself, that helped me on the day of the event, because on the day so I spoke first, but then there was audio issues. So then I spoke again at the end because the judges couldn't hear me. So I don't know why the second time I was more nervous than the first time. I don't know why, but the box breathing right before having to speak again, that completely helped me. And so I won because of, this coaching experience. And so the moment I won, I was in disbelief, because deep down, I felt at the beginning of the competition, there were, like I said, there was audio issues. So I was in my living room, and my boyfriend's on the laptop watching me in the room, because I didn't want it to like echo in like next to me. And I was like, you're gonna get me nervous, so go watch in the room. So he's watching it, and I'm talking the first time I start to talk, and he runs over, he says, we can't hear you. I'm like, oh no. So then I don't know what happened. And then I believe I delivered the whole message, and then I think the audio ended up being fixed, but part of the message wasn't delivered. But so I thought that was going to, like influence the decision of the judges. But later on, I was able to do it again. And so winning, it was just like I said, that I had that moment again that like, just like when I signed up, I had that like gut feeling when I found out that I was selected as one of the finalists. And then when I won, it was like this feeling that came over me, and it was just like, wow, like this is like, it's just all happening. And like it felt like a full circle moment almost.
Would you recommend Young Latina Talks to an aspiring Latina who would like to participate and take part in the next Young Latina Talks?
Absolutely. First, I would say Young Latina Talks will not just change who you are as a speaker, or, you know, if you aspire to be a public speaker, but like it did to me, it'll also impact you and change who you are as a person in a positive way. Because the one thing out of everything that it changed with that it impacted me most is that I am able to be here today because of Latina women who are paving the way, just like yourself, Fleriser, and like Jackie, Claudia, Minu, Angie, everyone involved. They are paving the way for younger Latinas. And they're not just paving the way, but they're also turning around and helping open doors for us. And, you know, they're accomplishing things, and not just accomplishing them, but they're turning around and saying, hey, I'm gonna help you, you know, and I want you to succeed also. And I always say representation matters, especially within the Latina community. So being able to take part of this and it being solely targeted towards young Latinas, that it in itself is, like I said, representation matters. That's everything. And that was one of the main reasons why I signed up, because it was specifically for us, by us, meaning Jackie, you know, everyone involved, and for us. So definitely would recommend it to any young Latina out there who is interested in sharing their story, and not only sharing your story to impact or hopefully change someone else's view or influence, but also to impact yourself working with these amazing Latina leaders and trailblazers.
What is next for Maria Alfaro?
I will continue to use my voice to advocate for mental health, and I will use my voice to be a voice for those who are not comfortable or choose not to speak about things that they haven't healed from or that they may be going through. I will use my voice to advocate for the whole Latinx community. Because like I said before, the more we use our voices and the more we share our stories, the more we were able to come together and be one. So definitely speaking more. I would love to speak more and just share my perspective on mental health awareness and the importance of representation. So one of the main things I hope to do with my nonprofit, Que Paso Latinx, is to be what I didn't have growing up, especially in the schools. So going back when I was 16 and I found out about, and I really learned about my mom's mental illness. She has bipolar disorder. I looked around and at different organizations, and I wanted to turn to an organization that could help me learn more, but I didn't see an organization that had anyone that looked like me. So I felt that they couldn't relate to me culturally. And so that is my goal, and that is what I hope to provide with Que Paso Latinx, is that representation, especially in the schools, because middle school, high school, just a little bit of awareness, especially around mental health. Someone telling you, hey, this is anxiety. Hey, this is what depression is. Just that alone will go a long way and change someone's life.
Thank you so much, Maria, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you at Bellas Fashionistas.
Thank you so much. I am so happy to have been able to be here and share my experience with Young Latina Talks and winning. And like I said, I'm honored to be here talking alongside you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Bellas Fashionistas TV and our media partner at BronxNet TV. To watch more of our programming, please visit our websites at bellasfashionistas.com and our media partner at bronxnet.org. Please be safe. Have a great day.